Please help me welcome Dr. J. Gonzalez.
Good morning, everyone. Before I get started, I do want to recognize our outstanding Board of Trustees and help me give them a round of applause. I'll start with our Board President, Mr. Marcos Suarez. Our Vice President, Mr. Sam Saldivar Jr. Our Board Secretary, Mr. Conrado Alvarado. We also have Trustee, Mr. Larry Esparza. And Trustee, Mr. Daniel Vela. We appreciate them very, very much. Tony Forina and Debbie Crane Aliceda are not here with us, but this team plays a tremendous role in establishing a vision for our district and ensuring that they hold us to a high standard. We have one of the best boards in the country, in my opinion, and I know that they're a big part of all that Dr. Ibarra just talked about. She talked about a lot of accolades. She talked about a lot of accomplishments, but it's no way can it be one person that makes that happen. It's everybody. And it's this board, especially, that provides that vision and that oversight that helps us do that. So one more round of applause for our outstanding board that does a great job for us. Yeah, we're truly blessed to have that. Also, we also have our executive leadership team. I'll let them introduce themselves. I know Dr. Ibarra already introduced herself, but I'll let her formally do that again.
Good morning, everyone. Silvia Ibarra, Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services. Welcome.
Assistant Superintendent for HR. Thank you for joining McAllen ISD, the best district background. If you know about HR, please let us know.
Good morning, welcome someone again. I'm Marketing Director, Community Information Director for the district. Welcome tonight.
Arely Benavides, Assistant Superintendent of District Operations. Welcome aboard. We're thrilled that you're here.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Bridget B., Associate Superintendent for Instructional Leadership. We're really excited that you joined us. Happy to see all the principals in here again. There's 31 principals here. We're grateful for everything that you guys do. Look forward to a great day.
Good morning and welcome to McAllen ISD. My name is Paula Gonzalez and I'm the Athletic Director, and hopefully some of you will want to be coaching. Thanks.
Good morning, I'm Jim Anger, the Director of Fine Arts, and we're so blessed to have you with us, and welcome to the best district in Texas, not the nation.
All right. Very good. So that's the executive leadership team that plays a key role in moving the organization. I already talked about our outstanding board and the oversight and holding us to a high standard. So when you have this level of leadership and you have this level of oversight and individuals with a diverse skill set holding you to a high standard, and then you couple that with a very, very strong staff and very strong leadership, then you get the results that Dr. Ibarra just talked about. It's this whole dynamic that happens. So we're very, very proud that you joined our family and our team, and we look forward to continued success. Great schools have great teachers. We know that. That's the bottom line with regard to schools and making things happen. Great schools have great teachers. And I know our principals do a tremendous job picking talent. So welcome. And I would like to recognize our principals at this time. Please stand and be recognized. Building principals, please stand and be recognized. We appreciate you all very much. Thank you all to our principals. Yeah, our principals do a tremendous job. Our instructional leaders are phenomenal with regard to every aspect of leading their school. De Leon Middle School is near and dear to my heart. I started my career, I've been in McAllen ISD, I'm starting my 22nd year, but in 1999 I started in this building and I came to the new teacher orientation and I taught 6th grade science here for a couple of years. So De Leon Middle School is near and dear to my heart, a tremendous staff, great leadership, a lot of tradition, and we're very, very excited about all the great things that are going on this campus in particular. But if you look across the district, there's so many things going on. If you look at all the performances, if you look at academics, if you look at athletics, if you look at the arts, you're gonna see excellence in every one of those areas. And the executive leadership team and the board drive that excellence. But now you've made a choice to be part of this team that's high performing. The challenge now is how do we maintain that level of performance over time? Sustainability is always the hardest thing to do when you're a high-performing organization. That's why to be sitting in here says a lot about you all, because you went through a series of steps to become selected as the next person for whatever it is that you do. Whether you're an algebra teacher or a Spanish teacher or a chemistry teacher, whether you're at the high school, the middle school, or the elementary, whether you're in the Strides program, whatever that you're doing for us, you're the best of the best. A lot of people want to work for McAllen ISD because everybody wants to be part of a winning team. So congratulations, and give yourselves a round of applause for being here this morning, because it's not easy to do. Time is a factor, so I don't have much time to get into any sort of lesson, but there's one aspect of a common theme that runs through our entire system, whether you look at our customer service model, or whether you look at our leadership model, whether you look at our framework for student learning. There's one common denominator that goes all the way through, and that's the 5 domains of emotional intelligence. That's one of the things that we play very, very big on. Whether you're at an IB World School like De Leon, and it's driven through the IB Learner Profile, through inquiry. Where's the De Leon table? De Leon Middle School, right over here. Okay, so we have one teacher at De Leon. And so whether you're driving the IB Learner Profile, which is synonymous with the 5 domains of emotional intelligence, you're talking about inquiry and being a thinker and a communicator, and being principled, open-minded, and caring, being reflective, balanced, risk-taking. All those things tie to the 5 domains of emotional intelligence that I wanted to briefly talk about this morning, because there is a common theme. Standard 1 of our customer service model is the 5 domains of emotional intelligence. So the acronym is SSMES, SSMES. So if you can picture that in your mind through an acronym, and you see an S, and then MES, that SSMES, SSMES, those are the 5 domains of emotional intelligence, and the first S is self-awareness. Self-awareness. Mr. Herrera, self-awareness, what is that to you? We'll make this interactive since I'm with a group of teachers. Self-awareness.
Just basically know myself, what makes me angry, what makes me happy, what makes me tick, what makes me positive, and so forth, and know that.
Very good. Round of applause for Mr. Herrera. So knowing yourself. And you might think, well, isn't that common sense to know yourself? Don't we all know ourselves? It's a scatter plot. Some of us are very, very good at self-awareness, and some of us need to be more aware of our own tendencies, our own ways of dealing with pressure and things of that sort. So exactly what Mr. Herrera said in the first standard or the first domain of emotional intelligence is take a deep dive on really understanding yourself from a self-awareness standpoint. But more than that, if algebra teachers, I know there's an algebra teacher at Morris, so as you're teaching algebra and as you're teaching your students how to solve for X and how to balance equations and do all the things that you're going to do in algebra, one of the things that you do in McAllen as well is talk about the fact that self-awareness is important. Whether you think you understand math, whether you think you're a math person, what your inner voice is telling yourself as a student, the importance of being self-aware and how you're approaching math is important, and it's going to impact your future. So self-awareness is key, not only to solving X, but also to being successful. So if you're good at algebra, most likely you can be an engineer. But the only way you can be a great engineer is by being very self-aware. So we're trying to couple IQ with EQ. We're trying to make you book smart, ACT smart, SAT smart, but also people smart. Because on the back end, businesses are saying we're looking for soft skills. We're looking for individuals that know how to deal with people. So let's start them young and let's work them all the way through. The second S is self-regulation. Self-regulation. Who would like to take a stab at that? Self-regulation. What does that mean? What does self-regulation mean? Clarissa, in your own opinion, what self-regulation? What is that?
Just being able to keep our emotions balanced. When we are angry, we naturally think of it being when we're angry, but it's also when children are overly excited. How do we display that appropriately in our environment? So just self-regulating our emotions to stay balanced.
Very good. Round of applause for Ms. Partida. Good job. So that's another one. As we teach, any science teachers in the room? So one thing, if you're working on an experiment and it's that time in the 6 weeks where you're going to get students in groups and you're going to get them hypothesizing and following procedures and collecting data and drawing conclusions on whether their hypothesis was correct, and there's going to be a lot of trial and error. So one thing you do as a science teacher is you talk about the importance of self-regulation. And if things don't work out like they should have worked out in your mind, it's okay, self-regulate, because science is trial and error. Science is a series of trial and error. So not only are you teaching science, but you're teaching that common principle of self-regulation. Self-regulate, you tie that in. So we're hoping that a student goes through this whole experience throughout the day, and maybe first period they heard the whole concept of self-awareness. They go to second period and their teacher talks about self-regulation. Then they go to third period. Any English language arts teachers? ELA teachers? So an ELA teacher, once you get to third period, you go SS, self-awareness, self-regulation. Now, motivation is the M. Motivation. Ms. Pitchford, in your mind, motivation. And I'm picking principles because they're on point this morning. I can see it.
Here it comes this way.
Yes.
So for myself, it all still falls back to the self-awareness and self-regulation within yourself. If in order to motivate others, you need to be self-motivated. And I think that that's also another emotion, an inner emotion.
Right on.
That moves yourself, and moves others.
Very good. Round of applause for Ms. Pitchford. Motivation is key. And sometimes it's hard to be motivated as a student because you're dealing with stuff at home. Your parents may be going through a divorce. You may have lost a loved one. You may be in a situation in your own personal relationship as a student, whatever, just the universe of all possibilities, but you never know what's going on. And in life, we're already old enough to know that it's hard to stay motivated. So as an ELA teacher, when you're teaching poetry, it may be a poem by Robert Frost, it may be Mary Ann Wilkinson, it may be whoever it is, and you're talking about poetry, you can break it down to the concept of motivation. And what the poet's motivation was to write the poem. What your motivation should be to understand the poem and live through the poem. And how you can power through whatever life is throwing at you through motivation, through waking up, through pushing through being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Because in life as a teacher, you know that, right? You're gonna have to be comfortable being uncomfortable because it's a very, very challenging job. So motivation is key. So we've talked about self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, now empathy. Empathy. Mr. Benford, your perspective on empathy.
Empathy, being able to relate to other people and what they are going through. And in order to do that, you have to be an active listener, to be able to put yourself in their position and see through their lenses on how they are viewing the situation.
Very good. Round of applause for Mr. Benford. Thank you, sir. Empathy. Empathy is important. And sometimes kids, as we just mentioned, are dealing with things in life. So algebra might not be the most important thing on their mind. You may have a student first period that's broken because something went down. His parents told him at dinner that they're going through a divorce. He was just told that his little sister has cancer. He was just told that they're going to be moving away to a different state and he's going to have to leave his friends. He was just told he didn't make the football team. She was just told she didn't make the volleyball team. Whatever it might be. So as teachers, you have to look through the lens of empathy. And what is that student going through? And let's help that student get through whatever it is before we start to solve for X. Otherwise, you're trying to force X and you're breaking down a relationship. So as you're teaching, you try to find moments where you bring empathy out and you get them to understand that looking at people's other point of view is something that's necessary in this world as they move forward. So when they're a medical doctor and they're about to go out into the lobby and tell a family that a loved one didn't make it, although that's routine for them, that as a medical doctor they have empathy and they speak through their heart to this family that just lost a loved one and give them a little bit extra time. Those are the best doctors, the ones that have empathy. So we don't only want to create kids that are credit complete, blowing the top off the ACT, going out and getting medical degrees, but we want them to be the best of the best because they're self-aware, because they can self-regulate their emotions, because they're motivated, and because they have empathy. And the last S is social skills. Mr. Mora, social skills. Your perspective on social skills.
Social skills is something that we want to teach to everyone, and of course, as campus principals, we need to model it with our teachers, who will model it with our students. And I know when I talk to my staff, I tell them that there's terms that will get you very far, whether it's a water target, just with anyone that you interact with. It's yes sir, no sir, yes, not, no ma'am, please, thank you, excuse me, you're welcome. Try using that language with anyone you interact, and you're gonna get it back 99.9% of the time. So the social skills is how we interact with each other daily.
Very good. Round of applause. And that's important because we have to model that. We have to become that. We have to know that we have to be respectful to everybody. You all are blessed with college degrees and great jobs, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to treat somebody that is in a different social setting or that is in a different level in life or that has different challenges that you have any differently because you have social skills. So you're going to treat the bus driver the way that you're going to treat the principal. You're going to treat the nurse the way that you're going to treat the librarian. You're going to treat the parent that lives in this big shiny house the same as you're going to live or treat the parent that lives in a not so nice of a house. You're going to treat everybody the same. That's social skills. That's what we have to model. But we have to teach our children that. And in 2019, it's very difficult because of all the distraction, because of all the movement, because they're looking at a Nintendo Switch, or they're looking at an iPad, or they're looking at a device, or everything is so interactive and so fast, and they can get lost in a screen. So how do we teach kids social skills? How do we teach kids emotional intelligence in this environment where you can go to a restaurant and see an entire family looking at a screen and not interacting with one another anymore? And then we're trying to put ourselves in a position where we have individuals that are self-aware, can self-regulate, are motivated, have empathy and social skills. The only way it can happen is if we're making a conscious effort, and that there's simultaneous interaction across this entire district, and that we're all modeling those 5 domains, and that we're all teaching those 5 domains, and that we're all living those 5 domains, so that on the back end, we raise the emotional quotient of this entire organization at one time. That's what we have to do, but it doesn't happen by accident, it doesn't happen through osmosis, it doesn't happen through hoping, it happens through planning. So as you teach your lessons, you're gonna see a framework for student learning, whether you're on an IB campus or a STEAM Plus campus, and you're gonna see this gear that talks about emotional intelligence. Delve into it, become it, teach it, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It's not gonna take your entire lesson away. It may take 1 minute, but that 1 minute you may spark something in a student's mind that will change their life forever because they understand the importance of social skills, because they understand the importance of those 5 domains. Not my work, Daniel Goleman's work. Research-based, a Fortune 500 company, a home, a church, or a school that has a higher emotional quotient collectively will win every single time. That's research, and that's true. So as you join our family, delve into those concepts, become those concepts, understand those concepts, teach those concepts, because our kids' lives depend on it. I appreciate y'all so much for being here. Thank you for your attention, and have a blessed day.